here is the all-new XL6, and when you see this car, you'll remember the movie Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi by Shah Rukh Khan, like the movie where Shah Rukh Khan puts on a pair of spectacles and nobody recognizes him, and then he removes them and everybody thinks he's somebody else. This car is basically based on the Ertiga, but this car looks completely different from the Ertiga. So if you place the Ertiga side by side, it'll be hard to tell which one is which, but that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now let's jump in the insides of the car and tell you what's so special about the XL6. The interiors of the new XL6 are much improved over the Ertiga in terms of the quality, in terms of the overall ambience and the feel as well. All the materials, all the switchgear is definitely half a step above the Ertiga. You also get a completely black cabin and there's a bit of a silver accent here in the middle, but apart from that, it's all black, which means that Maruti is trying to pitch this as a sporty car, as a car which offers you a little more poshness, a little more sportiness. And talking about sportiness, even the steering wheel on this MPV is flat bottom, which means that it is a car which will try and appeal to the youth. Now in terms of the overall materials, as I just said, they're good. You get this black granite-like finish here. It's actually plastic, but it does make the cabin look a little more special than on the Ertiga. And the seats also are very good in terms of comfort. The support for the lower back is very good. Support for your underside is very good. And you also get these little bolts on the side to keep you in your place should you decide to take it up the hills and push it into corners. You get a couple of cold beverage holders over here, a big tray where you can keep your cell phone, your wallet, and the door bins are also large enough for those big bottles. Now, the good point about the door is the fact that when you open it, you get a really nice and wide aperture, both in the front door as well as the back. You get a nice and wide aperture to get in and out of this car, which means that you don't have to slouch, you don't have to, do a little bit of exercise to get into it. You simply walk into it, sit on these seats, which are very comfy by the way, and just take off inside the XL6. So overall, what I'm trying to say is that this is a good car. The cabin ambience is very good, and out of 10, I'll give it a strong score of 8.5. Well, so let me start off by saying that you don't need to spend big bucks if you want captain seats anymore in this segment, because the seats on the XL6 are as good as the benchmark, and the benchmark has been for many years the Innova. These seats are as good as the Innova seats, both in terms of the comfort, in terms of the cushioning, as well as the amount of space you have inside. Headroom also is generous, and also you can move the seats to the back or you can move them all the way to the front. So yes, I'm very impressed by the space as well as the comfort on these seats. But I'll also talk about a negative point. That negative is that the window doesn't go all the way down, which is a bit of a surprise, because if you want to keep your hand like this, don't want to use the AC if you're traveling up the hills going to Shimla and you just want to take in the fresh air over there, then it's not very comfortable having a part of the window playing around with your hand or having to adjust like this. So that's something that Maruti should fix and take the window all the way down, because I really don't understand why it can't go all the way down. Overall though, that's a bit of a nitpick. It is a nice place to be. I'll give it a strong score, the back seats that is, of 8.5 out of 10. Well, if you've forgotten, let me just remind you that my height for reference is 5'10", and I always adjust the front seat for my height and my driving position, and both this row and the first row have been adjusted for my height. And I have to say that even then, I'm really surprised to see the amount of space over here for someone who's about 5'10". So even if you're about 5'11", you should be quite okay in these seats. If you're less than that in terms of height, then you should be more than comfortable, because these seats offer good cushioning and there's ample headroom as well. Knee, as you can see, is quite good as well. And the front seat is not in the most back position, it's a couple of inches ahead. And I've also turned on the AC at blower speed number 3, and I'm getting a good strong throw of air. So it's a decent place to be in. It's not as if you'll feel claustrophobic over here or start feeling dingy and dark inside the cabin, because you also get these big windows at the rear. You also get a couple of beverage holders, and you also get a 12-volt charging socket, which is a very thoughtful touch. It's because mostly people ask their kids to sit over here in the last row of seats, and to keep the kids busy, all you do is give them a mobile phone or a tab device, and they can simply watch Peppa Pig on it all day long. Overall, I'm really impressed with the last row of the XL6's seats, and I have to give it a very strong score of 10 out of 10, considering the compact dimensions of this car. Well, so the boot on the XL6 is really excellent in every sense of the word. If you drop the last row of seats down, you get a huge space. It's over 600 liters in terms of the capacity. And the best part is that there is no loading sill at all. Even if you drop the last row of seats down, there is no wedge or nothing which is protruding out. So you can slide in those big bags those big boxes without any issues at all. And if you have your mother-in-law coming over from the airport and you have to pick up her luggage, you can easily pick it up from the trolley, because this car isn't very tall up. The boot ledge isn't very high from the ground up, so you won't have to put in your bag too much into it. You can easily load in the stuff easily without murmuring all those things that you say behind her back. So in that sense, it's a good boot. If of course your mother-in-law decides to come with an entire tabbar, उनके साथ पूरा टब्बर अगर आ जाता है, even then you decide to pick up the seats up and say, well, all of you can fit in the car. Even then there is pretty impressive space, because Maruti has given these little shelves over here, which are essentially to load in the bags without any issues. So you remove them and you get a little more space here, and you still get over 200 liters of space. Overall, it's a very impressive boot. That's what I'm trying to say. In terms of the size of this car, it's a relatively compact car. So in that sense, I'll give it a strong score of 9.5 out of 10, irrespective of whether your mother-in-law comes or she doesn't. Well, so the XL6 comes with only one engine option. There's only a petrol motor on offer. There's no diesel at the moment, and the petrol engine is a 1.5 liter unit, and it's a mild hybrid tech motor, which means that fuel efficiency is going to be pretty good. What's also good about it is the overall refinement as well as the responsiveness. It starts responding for about 1300, 1400 RPM, makes it a good car for the city. What's also nice is the steering wheel, because the weight in the steering wheel is just the right amount of weight. It's near to soft that you suddenly start feeling nervous on the highway, and neither is it too heavy that you have to really use your arms to move it around and you start feeling tired at the end of the day. So it's got the right mix, and it's also feelsome. It's got decent feel, decent feedback, and as I just said, it just feels like a nicely balanced steering wheel. It's something that you will truly appreciate on the XL6. Now, what you'll also like about this car is the light clutch and the light gearboxes. The gearbox on this car is a crisp unit. It's a typical Japanese unit, which means that the gears slot easily, the throws are very short, and it doesn't need a heavy hand to shift. So it's a nice car in terms of gearbox. In fact, some days you'll just be shifting gears for the heck of it, because it is an enjoyable gearbox to use. In terms of the ride comfort, the Ertiga always had very good ride, and Maruti engineers seem to have just polished it even further. This car offers you a very supple ride in the city, but it feels very stable, very assuring on the highway. And even when you're doing triple-digit speeds, it does feel very nice and offers you great stability. What I also personally like about the car is the fact that visibility all across is excellent. Even though it is a dark cabin, it's a black cabin, even then visibility excellent. You get great view from here, you get good view from the rear view mirrors, and the windows, the glasses all across are also of a big shape and size, of a decent shape and size, which means that if you have traffic around you, you will easily manage to see it and note it. And even the pillar here isn't very chunky. And the good point is that the seats, not only are they high set, but they're also very comfortable and very cushiony seats. So it adds to the overall comfort that this car already has to offer. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the XL6's drivability as well as its refinement. And of course, because it is mild hybrid tech, it also offers you good fuel economy. So out of a score of 100, I'd give this car a very strong score of 89 in the overall driving department. It really comes across as a good package, not only for the city, but also for the highway. And if you are someone who drives his own MPV on a daily basis, then this is one car which you will truly enjoy. Overall, this car comes across as a very, very polished version of the Ertiga. It's more sophisticated, more posh, and more upmarket. In fact, the Ertiga in itself is a very good car in the MPV segment. But if you, of course, want captain seats and don't want to spend that 18, 19, 20, 21 lakh rupees on that Innova, then this is a great car for you. Simply go ahead at a Nexa dealership, take a test drive, and I'm sure you'll agree with my verdict. It's bye for now, and hope to see you soon.